Derek, take the wheel.
With their self-titled album, ERRA. Out now. Boys,
This has been your most anticipated album of the year.
Ever since I heard Snowblood, this was I didn't need any of the other single to tell me that this was my most anticipated album of the year. Then I heard the other singles, and this was my most anticipated album of the year. And then the album dropped. And I don't remember the last time I have been this satisfied with an album on first listen. Like for Slaves last year, right? I was really high on a lot of them. Witch Hunt and Secrets hadn't really sold me at the time. Similarly with Dance Gavin Dance's After. I wasn't super high on a lot of the songs for that one, and those two ended up being my top two of last year with time. I guess what comes to mind is Emarosa's Peach Club in 2019 that I was really satisfied with on first listen. So it's been 2 years, essentially, since I was able to enjoy an album as much as I have this ERRA album. You open with my number one song of last year, Snowblood, and it just doesn't stop. Right? It's like 50 minutes of gent, essentially, but it's like progressive metalcore infused gent in a way that is so distinctly ERRA that it's hard to listen to an ERRA song, even though they have influences from so many other bands, and not think this is ERRA, which I think that they achieved well on Neon, but any missteps on Neon, which was their last album in 2018, I think a lot of the missteps there were in production, and a lot of the songs didn't have their own identity, and it was kind of muddled. With this, man, it just feels like everything pops into place. Like, there's something that gives each song its own distinct identity, whether it be a breakdown, or like, for instance, in a Lunar Halo, that like minute-long kind of reverb electronic element to it. What sticks out the most to me on this album is definitely the guitar riff after the first breakdown, or after the main breakdown, I should say, in Gungrave. There's this little like guitar lick there that I was like, holy shit! And I played it for my dad, and he was like, yeah, I don't know how he does that. Like, that should not be possible, right?
You're talking about the guitar solo during the breakdown at the end
of Gungrave?
Yeah. Like not a solo, but
no. It's after the main breakdown, and it's like a ba na 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 na. Okay, really slow, yeah. But okay. It's like that little bit, and it's just the instrumentation on this album is perfect. I'm throwing that out there. I'm dying on that hill. I can find no flaws. There's nothing more that I want from this album instrumentally, and you know what? I think that's what I love most about this album, is that it feels like fan service. Like, there, on any given moment, I could say, I want a solo here. I want a breakdown here. And lo and behold, I'm going to get a solo there, or I get a breakdown there. And if it's at a point where I think there should be one, I get something else in its place that somehow works better. Like, I feel like for what it's trying to do, and in terms of an overall album, I don't really have any flaws with it. Like, I feel like no song overstays its welcome. It does everything it needs to do. Like, even the 6-minute Lunar Halo, for me, I listen to that song and it feels like 3.5, 4 minutes. Like, it doesn't feel like it's runtime, because there's enough going on and enough variation in every song that makes it worth it to listen to it. Like, the on-paper replayability of this album is not great, but then you hear it, and at least for me, it was like, okay, yeah, every song has its own personality, Every song works beautifully. The instrumentals are fantastic. Vocals, by God, the fact that Jesse does this level of guitar work while singing is inhuman. Like, I don't know how he does it. I'm convinced he sold his soul to the devil or some shit. Like, that's the only explanation I can think of, right? And then we got JT doing all sorts of ranges of uncleans, even as far low as doing Tunnel Throat in Scorpion Hymn. And then he does cleans on, I think it's 2 songs on here. It's brief, but even so. I mean, it's just, this band has such a range, but at the same time, they've got a sound that works so well for them to stick to. I don't know. I know that I'm probably, if not definitely, the highest out of everybody on this album. Yeah. As somebody who hasn't liked any of their material enough to save it prior to whatever production switch they made when they covered You Think I Ain't Worth $1, but I Feel Like $1,000,000.
Did you like Eye of God?
No. Because it suffers from the same problem as Neon for me, that the instrumentals feel a little muddled together and too pronounced over the vocals. This, to me, feels masterfully mixed and produced. You can hear every instrument, and your experience with this album, I feel like at least it has some changes based on what instrument you decide to focus on. Like, everybody gets a time to shine on this album. It's just incredible. This is currently sitting at my album of the year position. Full disclosure. I don't know what else could displace it that's currently slated to come out. I mean, there's been enough surprises this year that maybe, but I'm blown away not only by the album but by how much I like it based on how I wasn't feeling their previous material. This is what a self-titled should be. It is a statement. It is their best work to date, I feel. I don't know. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love everything about this album. This is my highest recommend. End scene. Hit me with it.
Yeah, you're okay. So I loved Drift. I love Neon. And I'm listening to all, like, as you guys heard it when I was talking about all the singles, except for Scorpion Hymn, which is kind of in its own boat. But anyways, I was not totally sold, and I've been trying to figure out why. And I finally figured out what it is.
Okay.
And it is that this album, the singles, they don't have the same emotion as Neon or Drift. And that is what is bugging me.
Okay.
That is why I am not sold on this album.
You know what?
I'm with you.
I don't think I can entirely latch onto it, having not heard any of ERRA's previous material, but I think I can kind of agree with you on that front, in that the lyricism on some of these songs just is kind of out there.
Yep.
And I can't connect to it.
Yep. It's like old ERRA, like before they switched to JT as their vocalist. The only song I can kind of feel it in is the closer, Memory Fiction, where Jesse just goes off.
Beautiful ballad-esque song on an album where I was not at all expecting to have one. Right? You know what, Jacob? I can absolutely see that, and I don't disagree. Actually, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that this lyricism is, like Jake said, too out there. However, I don't think it's a flaw because I think it all sounds, and like, if I can't understand what they're saying half the time, then I don't have a problem with it, right? Like, I'm listening to these songs because I think that they sound good, and I very, very, very much enjoy the way that they make me feel. Like, I am feeling good and attached to this album because of the way that they sound sonically, not the way that they sound lyrically. Like, that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for in ERRA. I'm looking for like instrumentation and musicianship rather than something that
See,
I
that's
can
something
attach myself to.
that's something I would look for in like an Ice Nine Kills or what's another example? Can't think of. But the Ice Nine Kills is the one that comes to mind, where I don't really care about the lyrical content because I love the sound.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's the opposite of Too Close to Touch for me. Because Too Close to Touch, I've identified so much with like their lyricism, right? And like the way that what those lyrics mean to me, that when I get something that may be more pop inspired or less personal, I'm not as high on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what it comes down to is what bands you attach yourself to emotionally.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it.
Because I have no emotional attachment to ERRA, so I'm not looking for that, whereas you do. And so you're looking for something that's not quite there, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I think that's what's been bugging me since Snowblood has released, and it finally hit me like 2 weeks ago.
This has just been like a 3 hours of revelations, hasn't it? Like we've all been figuring shit out. I don't know. I think. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it for time reasons, and also because I feel like I've said all that I can say and all that. But yeah, this is ultimately really good progressive metalcore. What you make of it is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be a good way to sum up this album. If you're just looking for a good time, absolutely. If you're looking for something to attach yourself to lyrically, the lyrics are deep, but not emotionally. They're complex in a very smart, maybe almost too smart way, I guess would be how I would put it. But,
so I guess off of that note, a lot of the songs kind of blended in with each other for me. Not to, and I mean, it's undeniable the amount of talent that every single person in this band has.
Oh, 100%.
But a lot of the songs, like, towards the latter half of the album, like, if you asked me to, like, identify the difference between Lunar Halo, Vanish Canvas, Eidolon, and Remnant, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Lunar Halo's the one with the ambient...
electronic ambient intro, yeah.
I mean, I have not spent nearly enough time on that song. But...
I think Scorpion Hymn is my favorite song.
My favorite song is still Snowblood. That has not changed since the moment I heard Snowblood.
I feel like I almost can't claim Snowblood as my favorite song because it's too obvious. Like, I feel like 2020 claims Snowblood as my favorite song, so now, like, I can't.
If we're talking about second favorites, though...
Gungrave?
When I heard Gungrave, shit got real, and I was having considerations of, does this have top 10 potential?
But it doesn't make sense because Scorpion Hymn is complete opposite of what I want.
That is, I think this album has a lot of that for me. That, like, I don't know why I like some of the stuff on this album as much as I do. Like House of Glass, it's just like, it's like a Tool and Meshuggah had a kid. And I despise Tool, and I can't fuck with Meshuggah, and suddenly I really love House of Glass.
ERRA made a playlist on their Spotify that showed all the inspirations, and Tool is one of them.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I need to find it now.
Hold on, I'll investigate.
I do want to elaborate on Gungrave a bit, because I feel like we've talked very general about this album, and not a lot on the specific songs, because, my god, Gungrave is a roller coaster of metalcore.
It's beautiful. It's
like when I heard, I knew Snowblood and Divisionary were my favorite songs of the singles. I didn't really enjoy Shadow Autonomous or House of Glass all too much. When I hear Gungrave in between Snowblood and Divisionary, and I'm like, okay, this is a sick 3-run song to open this album. I'm thinking this album has some serious potential, and then by the end of it, it all just kind of blends in, and I'm almost getting sick of the sound. But it doesn't invalidate how incredible those first 3 songs are for me. Yeah. And overall, like, I can appreciate this album more on a single by single basis rather than as a full album. And honestly, I'm fine with that. So
yeah, there's enough of a cohesive sound throughout it that you have to like that cohesive sound in order to get through the album. And like for you, obviously that was not the case.
Yeah.
For me,
I enjoyed it at times. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I also didn't enjoy it at other times.
Well, that's part of what made me like it so much is that I could find that if I like that cohesive, then I can spend more time on the nuances of the album, and that caused me to like it more because I don't have to worry about whether or not I like the core sound because I've already been sold on it, you know? So it's definitely like a huge bridge to cross, and yeah. But
I don't see it on their Spotify anymore.
I didn't either. I looked.
That's unfortunate.
There was a behind the scenes video on YouTube. Look at where they talked about the writing process and influences. But anyway, I digress. I think all has been said.
Yeah,
that can be said.